Awesome. Hi, everyone. This is Luis, project lead at Aragon, and this is our community meeting. For the ones that don't know about the Aragon community meetings, it is a place where we basically discuss and answer any questions asked by community members. And today we are actually very delighted about having one of our community members here, Phil. He's from the Frontline group, which is a group that we have in our community chat, which is basically a group where we have like people that are super active, and it's a very safe place to talk about multiple things on related in Aragon and also related to the core team. I would say it's kind of an extension to our core team to some sense. I remember in the early days in the token sale when it was only Jorge and me working full time. Basically, they were the ones, this Frontline group was the one taking care that the sale was going smooth in the community side of things. In the meantime, Jorge and me were just taking care of the contract side of things and that everything was working. So thank you very much to everyone in the Frontline community, and we are delighted to have Phil here. I don't know, Phil, if you want to say a few words now.
Oh, yeah, sure. Thanks for introducing me. And yeah, I'm really excited to be part of this meeting and help Aragon in any way I can.
Awesome. Yeah, so before starting with the actual questions in the community meeting, I just want to congratulate Tatu and everyone in the community again for the very smooth migration from Slack to Rocket Chat. I think it's been a great move, and I think it's really helping like dismiss all of the attack vectors for both spammers and phishers right now. And so we basically are able to maintain really quality conversation in the platform. So congrats everyone on that move, and to a very healthy community. We'll start with the actual community meeting when the
So our agenda was to talk about the recent developments in the community, which Luis covered mostly now. The migration to Rocket Chat happened, which is a big step for us in the case of community, as the chat is now completely on a new platform. Do come and chat with us over there. So moving on to the AMA portion of the meeting. Well, go ahead.
So just before going into the AMA, I have a very special news for today. We have Pierre here. Pierre is joining our team as a front-end developer working on the Aragon client, and he's very talented. Been working on open source for all his life, and we are so happy to have him on board helping with the Aragon client and making it a reality. So I don't know, Pierre, if you want to say hi to the community.
Hey, yes. So yeah, I started this week. I've been following the Aragon project since some time now, and yeah, I'm super happy, super excited to start working on this project.
Yeah, yes, welcome to the team, Pierre.
Thank you.
Well, that's all the new people for now, Pierre, and welcome also Phil. We'll start with some questions. We're going to take first one from the AMA thread on the subreddit. So first question. Some argue that decentralized blockchain-based company management and decision-making process, an example voting, is ineffective due to the high cost of transactions. Could you please comment on the economic feasibility of corporate governance on the blockchain? Do you think Ethereum scaling solutions such as Raiden can be beneficial to Aragon? If yes, do you have any plans to use Raiden or any other scaling method in Aragon? Who wants to take this? I can start by saying that yes, obviously, Ethereum itself is going to have some scaling tools such as sharding and the change to proof of stake, which is hopefully going to at least alleviate the scaling issues that there might be in the current system of gas sealing and such. So, Jorge.
Yeah, so I think this is actually a very good question and something that we are, while not actively working on it right now, but this is something that we keep in the back of our minds, and we're currently thinking about what could happen about this. So the first part of the question is commenting on the economic feasibility of corporate governance in the blockchain. And there's going to be some apps that the fees are going to be so high to run them that it isn't going to make sense for some apps. But personally, I think that actually Aragon is a very good example of something that in the real world, like the alternative to running a company like in the real world is so expensive, and every single action would be orders of magnitude more expensive. So I don't think that's something that we're worrying too much about. But of course, Ethereum scaling solutions, it's something that we are looking into. The example that he gave, the question says about Raiden, I don't think Raiden is applicable in this case, because in decentralized governance, in order for this to work, people would need to make both commitments and kind of be making this peer-to-peer in some fashion, which we don't think it scales for actually multiple people voting in a synchronous manner. But other solutions, such as we're following closely the development of Sardine, and also layer 2 solutions such as Plasma, which could be interesting for us to explore and to help scale Aragon.
Yes, that's interesting. And there was a mention here that also Plasma could be a solution as well, the scaling issues. Anyone else want to, or Jorge want to add to that regarding Plasma?
Yeah, I agree that the scalability solution that Aragon will need to take advantage looks much more like Plasma and these layer 2 chains rather than just basic state channels, which are we don't think they're suited for this kind of more complex computations that happen in Aragon organizations.
All right. Well, let's take the next question from our guest, Phil.
Oh, hey. Regarding M0 and DevCon, what is the team kind of hoping to get out of it? Is it mostly to target developers or build business partnerships? Or, yeah.
Yeah, I think that for M0, our main goal right now, as it's basically a developer conference, and same as DevCon, is to talk about Aragon OS and the new architecture that we have adopted for the DAOs. It's very important that we have a lot of eyes and a lot of minds thinking about possible issues that we may run into, or possible things to enhance all of that. So I feel that's very important. We need to get a lot of attention on the new architecture, and also we need to get a lot of attention on how developers can take advantage of it, because as you said, a lot of developers can build apps on top of Aragon, which basically make things so modular and makes things so extensible that developers don't have to reinvent the wheel a lot for permission system or for things like that. They just have to build an Aragon app and take all the benefits for not having to write all of that base layer of interacting with different entities that have different permissions, but they are all inside a DAO or an organization. So yeah, I would say M0 is more getting the word out for Aragon OS and having more attention to it. And then in DevCon, I think we have a more broad goal of also exciting people, exciting the community, and also hiring more talent after getting them excited.
So as the focus kind of changes to focus more on like getting this developer interest, are there like more opportunities for people to help out? And since now you're focusing more on getting this interest.
Yeah. Do you mean like how does that change of focus like affect us, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think before, in this stage that we are right now, it's just like development and, kind of working as alone on having something that works. But after that, I expect a lot of work to be towards making the community very excited and making it very easy for developers to create new apps. So right now we have like 3 different developers that want to create like liquid voting apps, for example. So we really have to work on a lot of documentation. We really have to work on a lot of onboarding for these developers. But also we don't have to forget something very important, which is that we should always be focused on UI. Like we shouldn't abandon that because we are focusing on developers or things like that. Because in the end, one of the reasons that people will use Aragon is because the UI just works. And so developers will want to build on that because users love it, right? So we really have to be focused on the UI while also providing documentation and onboarding for developers to create apps on top of Aragon.
And if someone wants to help out, like what are some of the like the key areas where you want people to pay attention to? Is it like focusing on the UI, building dApps that connect to Aragon?
Well, I think UI is a big part of it, but I think there is also a lot of different challenges at the contract level and building apps at the contract level. So maybe Jorge has also more insights.
Yeah, so the focus with the new architectures, then, and this has been like the central point that we've been focusing most about, is that we want to allow people to like write these applications in the way that they would write like a very simple smart contract that they would deploy, but at the same time like being sure that because they're running this on an Aragon organization, they can take advantage of all these permission system and all the upgradability that comes almost for free. But right now, what we're almost feature complete. We're actually publishing a dev update very soon, and we're almost feature complete with this. And right now, what we want to get is like as many eyes as possible on the code and people giving their feedback, because that's kind of what we have right now, is to get this to a stage in which we can deploy it securely to the network. Not only for the core contracts, which is like the core contract layer is actually very small, but actually also in the default applications that will be broadly used by almost all organizations. So that's everything on GitHub, and we will be starting with third-party audits of the code soon. But every little bit of help is tremendously helpful right now.
Are there specific apps you want people to focus on, like liquid voting, or is that still too far away to tell?
The problem with liquid voting, like right now for the first Aragon core release, like we're only having like simple voting for that. The liquid voting comes with a set of challenges when you make it like real, like you can get into this recursion loop in which if you can have like a very, very long delegation chains of votes, and that can get real tricky really fast if you aren't very careful of these issues, and voting can become very, very expensive because like you need to spend a lot of cash calculating the delegation routes. So that's something that we're not like, we want to start working on soon if someone else isn't doing it, but it could be possible that part needs like an off-chain component to make it much more efficient than some of the experiments that we have done up until now.
Yeah, and like, there are certain apps that we for sure want people to build, but I think like the most exciting part of this is like to see these kind of super unexpected apps that we never thought of and see people building them. because really like the architecture is so broad and so generic that you can really build like whatever you want, and you can even like chain a lot of different apps. So for example, you can chain a tokens app. So for example, if you're a token holder, you can forward an action to another app, for example, a voting app. And then if there is like a voting and the voting is successful, then it goes to another app, which, I don't know, it's a multi-sig. And then if someone decides in there that the action should be performed, then it's performed, for example. But like you can do this like crazy chains of building a lot of different apps that forward actions to each other, and you can really make it as complex as possible. And it's also interesting to see which kind of governance structures will be created with this. So we are actually on Monday, Luke, which is our new hire for governance, will be focusing on governance research. So basically, seeing how these like different governance structures can be created, and kind of seeing which one works, which ones don't for each use case, and that will also like be super exciting. Not also like the developers creating apps, but also people creating like different governance structures.
Yeah, it's definitely super exciting. Yeah.
And also some final note about DEFCON and M0 is that the educational part is actually also very, very important. Like being able to be there for like some days in which you're not doing like day-to-day work, but learning about what everyone else is doing and hearing everyone like all the new developments is something that is always so exciting, and I cannot wait to actually be there and listen to everyone.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. And thank you for the questions, Phil. Really helpful. And this time, let's take a question from the live chat here. Are there plans for the Metropolis update? In example, fearless smart contracts. So I think this is referencing to the Constantinople, the second hard fork of Metropolis, and the change to smart contracts. Jorge is probably the one to answer this one.
So, sorry, the question, was it about a particular EIP, or it was like generally talking about Constantinople?
Yeah, more like, I don't know if it's more general, I guess, for the Metropolis.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have read the question. I have read the question now. Yeah, so I think the question is about EIP 86, which is the account abstraction EIP in Metropolis. We haven't worked on that for this release, but it's something that we want to explore. Basically, for everyone unfamiliar with that, this EIP kind of will allow contracts to quote unquote pay for their own gas by introducing a new kind of transaction that everyone can send a transaction from this address. So that's something that we will be looking into. But there's a lot of the reason why this EIP was like this was one of the reasons because why the Metropolis hard fork was split into two. There's a lot of technical implications for making this work. This is not something that like if someone is going to turn off the lights and suddenly contracts can pay for gas. There will be a lot of work in infrastructure, like getting the miners to accept this new kind of transactions. And there's some challenges related to DDoS attacks that can happen this way, or a lot of things. But this is like, that's my favorite EIP right now, and this is something that we will be definitely working on for allowing people to interact with their organizations without having to previously have gas, Ether for gas, sorry.
Okay, thanks, Jorge. Let's move on to the next question coming from the AMA thread. So Aragon is sitting on a pile of Ether since the token sale. Account balance is almost twice as large as market cap. What are your growth and expansion plans? How do you tend to spend raised capital to bring value to investors? Also, do you think of investing or hedging unused Ether? I think, Maria, could you start with this?
Yes. Wait. Let me. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So the question is, what are your growth and expansion plans? How do you intend to spend or use the raised capital to bring value to investors? Also, do you think of investing or hedging unused Ether?
Yeah, and so first, well, the money raised is basically, or mainly, or the priority is building Aragon, and that's how we expect to bring value to token holders and to the users. Yeah, we are expecting we know we have it now, everything, most of it in Ether, and we want to hedge that risk. However, for the moment, things are being a little bit slow because of bureaucracy, but that is in our plans. Although we have to keep in mind that the idea for us is that money is not for us, is not for the team. That money belongs to the network, and we want to transfer that money to the network when the network is ready. And so we need tokens for that. We need Ether for that. So we're not gonna change like a lot into fiat or any other token or Bitcoin or something like that. Yeah.
Lois, do you have, or anyone, anything to add?
And I think I forgot about the part of the expansion plans. And yeah, mainly right now we have to hire more developers, and so that's our expansion plan.
Yeah, that's very important. And also, this new hire, Luke, who will work on governance, that's important for us, like doing a lot of research on governance, because obviously, like, we have our thesis on how decentralized governance will shape society, but we still have to, experiment on different governance, methods. So we have to really invest a lot of both human resources and also capital, probably, into trying out a lot of different models and even like A/B testing them to see what's the like adequate governance model. First of all, for our own network, for the Aragon network, and then for different use cases that other projects are using Aragon for.
Yeah, that's true. Something I forgot to mention, and it's something that is going to be very, very excited. But we are more or less already working on that. But since Luke joins the team on Monday, this is going to be part of our priority as well. And we are going to put a lot of resources on that, because that's the key value proposition of Aragon governance.
Awesome. So this next question is actually coming from 3 different people. So I'm going to read all of them. Are we close to the private beta of the money release according to the development plan? And then we have, has the white paper development plan changed given the new circumstances since they were first written? And if so, how? And then we have, when can we get a peek at the version 0.4? So the new development plan, well, it's not new, it was just updated. You can find it at the wiki.aragon.1. It was updated yesterday. And for a peek at the version that is next, Luis is can share his screen so you can get a peek here. So let's put this. So here we have, let's do a full screen one. Okay, this is a mock-up or screenshot. Maybe Luis, you can tell more about it.
Yeah, so we have redesigned 0.5 totally, mainly because of the Aragon OS new architecture. But basically, it's very similar to concept as like the previous version, in the sense that you have apps in the sidebar, and you also have a notification center where you can see everything that's happening related to you in the DAO. But there are a couple news. For example, a very important piece of news here is that when you sign a transaction, you will see if you don't have the permission to directly perform that transaction, you will be presented with a list of different ways you can perform that action. So, for example, if I cannot, I don't know, withdraw some funds from the DAO, but the voting app can do that, then I will have to initiate a voting for the token holders to decide if if the funds are to be withdrawn or not. And so we have redesigned all of that. We have also redesigned all the different apps. So you can see here what was the ownership app in the previous version. Now it's called tokens. And also there is a very important feature here, which is that with the new architecture, we can reuse a lot of code. So instead of having a token manager app that has to manage 5 different tokens, we can create an instance of the tokens app, which only handles one single token. So you can create 3 different instances of that same app, but the app is exactly the same with the same code in the smart contracts, the same code in the front end too. And this results in a lot of security because there is less code on the blockchain and also less code on the client. But also results in better usability, since you know that in this app you only have to focus on managing one single token and not 5 different tokens. So we'll probably it's very close to completion. We just need another screen that is missing, which is the screen to manage the different apps that you can install or uninstall. But once that's ready, we'll probably do a write-up, a blog post announcing the new version. You can also see here with the new Aragon OS refactor the permissions app, in which you can control, who can, for example, open a voting, and who can also, for example, issue new tokens, and you have all the different permissions here, and you can revoke them if you have permission to revoke them, or just see them. So that's a sneak peek of 0.5 and the new UI, and I really like it.
So there you have. Thanks, Luis, for presenting that. More will be coming on the front end on the blog post, as Luis said, and the updated development plan can be found at the wiki. So next question, this one, let's take it from the AMA thread. The world around us is strongly tied to fiat and classic banking system. It is therefore essential for Aragon-based organization to be able to interact with the rest of the world, like pay for goods, services, rent, wages, etc. How do you expect businesses using Aragon will be able to do this? Do you think Aragon should make a partnership with financial institution, or will you outsource it to third parties via the app, or maybe Aragon will become a licensed financial institute itself? So that's a long one. Maria, you want to start with this one?
Yeah, definitely. That's one thing we are working on as well. We want to come up with a solution for the Aragon organizations. I cannot give a lot of details about it right now, but yeah, we want to create something like an entity through which the DAOs could pay the contractors and interact with the real world. And also, yeah, we are very open to options like partnerships with certain projects that could help us with that, or with some entities as well.
Thank you, Maria. Anyone else want to comment on this? Okay. Well, yeah, Jorge, go ahead if you.
Oh, that something that also is very important. Like, there will be organizations that will need interaction with the real world, but for some other kind of more quote unquote native digital organizations, they will need the stability. Like, they will need to hedge against the volatility of digital assets, but they won't necessarily be needing like bank accounts. So developments with stable coins such as DAI or SAI is very, very interesting and something that organizations will be able to take advantage of. And also the new Tether token that now also runs on the Ethereum blockchain. So those are tokens that people will be able to hold in their organization, so they won't be exposed to the increasing volatility of the assets, while at the same time keeping everything on chain.
All right, so let's take a question now from the live chat. Are there any new / partnerships you would like to announce? From my part, I can say no. This is not usually a way we would announce things, but if someone else wants to comment something. No? Okay. Well, I believe, Phil, you had another question in mind.
Oh no, I asked the second question kind of like as a follow-on to the first.
Okay, sure. Well then, let's move over the AMA thread. Could you please provide a few most common, in your opinion, cases that the Aragon network jurisdiction, the decentralized court, could resolve? And what are the types of disputes ANJ will not be able to resolve? What should an Aragon-based organization do in this case? Luis.
Yeah, so I think everything that has to do with the offline world is obviously very hard to resolve, mainly because of the information asymmetry between the blockchain and the physical world. So obviously in that particular case, for example, let's say that your employer has stolen your, I don't know, your phone or something. Both parties could provide basically evidence like videos, timestamp photos, all of that, and then the network could decide who's right and who's wrong. But I think that's that there are very hard cases. Like the easier cases are the ones in which you have all the information accessible in the blockchain and you can rely on that info. So, for example, I would say that one very simple kind of case here could be if, for example, you hire a contractor and the contractor has some deadlines to pursue, and you specify that in a text file, which will be the contract, and you both cryptographically sign that. So therefore, you agree to the terms of that contract, and then the contractor doesn't deliver what he or she had to deliver. So in that case, you have a clear contract, and also you can have clear ways to measure progress. So for example, you can state in the contract that all the code that the contractor will create is going to be hosted at this repo, and then it's so easy for the judges to check that repo and check if that feature is there or is not, and then check the plain text contract and decide who's the winner, decide who's the loser. So everything that has to do everything that is very measurable and everything that information is available on chain versus off chain, or even information that is digitally available, is way easier than information that is just in the physical world. So I think physical cases such as, I don't know, stealing in the physical world will be really hard to do with a decentralized court.
All right. Then this question comes from the live chat. To the moon.
Yoo-hoo!
I don't know if it does have a question mark, but I don't know how to answer that. So, yeah. Woohoo! Yeah. Okay, let's take this one from the AMA thread. There are some countries and jurisdictions that are keener the blockchain tech than the others. Examples of Isle of Man, Zug, Gibraltar, etc. Do you consider working with their governments to integrate Aragon tech in the government agencies and structures? For example, Aragon registered organization could be automatically added to the company's house register and use built-in accounting module to submit annual reports, pay taxes, disclose information, etc. Thus rely on law enforcement services where Aragon network jurisdiction cannot be applied. So all in all, the question is, do you consider working with governments to integrate Aragon technology into the government agencies and structures?
Yes. I cannot share a lot of details on that either. We have different approaches for that. Of course, I always like to say that to make clear that we are not a team of lawyers, and that's not our priority. You know, like to hire lawyers in every country, but yeah, we are very aware of. We are very open to work with especially to start approaching some countries that are very open and keen on applying this blockchain technology and solutions as Aragon for the corporate services. So yeah, that's in our plans, definitely.
Okay, this is from the live chat, and it's somewhat related to the previous one. Are you planning to tackle organization taxes as part of Aragon core, or leave it to the third-party module / external entities? Do you care to elaborate on that, Maria?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Yeah. So, are you planning to tackle organization taxes as part of the Aragon core app, or leave it to the third-party developers of modules or external entities?
Well, I think probably leave it to third developer parties. Although we do have this financial app and finance app, which is just to be called the accounting app, and right now is a very basic app. And but we are in conversations with some developers that are interested in helping us developing that specific app. So we will have to see. But right now, yeah, we are not thinking of or in the next release. That's not something that we're gonna have in the Aragon core.
Jorge, you something?
Yeah, I mean, it was mostly that this is not something like, in order for us to support like organization taxes, we would need to basically have like a different implementation for every jurisdiction that has their own tax code. So even if we can kind of build like a generic finance or accounting app, like the differences between how you do taxes in one place to another, like that would make it very, very hard for us to build that. So we think that what would make more sense in this case is having different third-party accounting modules that are specific to whatever jurisdiction people want to use an Aragon organization as a legal organization in that part of the world. But for now, we're keeping like Aragon core. We're keeping jurisdictionally, like not like it doesn't matter what jurisdiction you want to run this in. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Jorge. Right now, okay, we have a new question now. Do you have any plans for listing in Korea Exchange? Personally, I'm not familiar with the name Korea Exchange, but in general, it's always up to the exchanges to list any tokens. It's not related to us. They can do whatever they want. They can list it or not. So if you want to have a token listed on a specific exchange, probably best to contact them and request them to add a certain token. But otherwise, if someone wants to comment on this. Right now, we don't have any other questions. So I'm going to mention one thing, as this is the community meeting. We are currently, while I'm currently the community lead, we are also looking and hiring a new community lead at the moment, as I'll be transitioning to the communications director role. And you can find the job opening of the community lead role as well as all the other openings at Aragon on the wiki. So wiki.aragon.one/jobs. You can find all the current openings. As Luis mentioned in the beginning of the meeting, we are currently hiring. There's several openings. And so right now we do not have any more questions. Does anyone have anything they want to comment or say? Well, if not, that's going to be the conclusion of this meeting. Thanks everyone for participating. Thank you, Phil, for being part of this and joining in. Welcome again, Pierre, to the team. Thanks everyone for watching and sending us your questions. So we'll see you next time in a month. It's going to be again the second Friday of November. So thank you and bye.